right here. Parent 1 is A blood group and parent 2 is B blood group. Parent 1 IA is just the genotype, and B blood group parent 2 IB is the genotype, and gametes are IA and parent 2 IB. So IA and IB. So in F1 generation, what is the genotype of offspring? IA and IB. So both the parent characters are expressed. This is formation of AB blood group. And from this gametes are what are the gametes? IA and IB, right? And we can taken as a Punnett square form, checkerboard, IA and IB, IA and IB. So there is IA, IB, IB and IB, right? In F2 generation, there is 1:2:1 form phenotypic ratio, and 1:2:1 form genotypic ratio are formed. So this is regarding about codominance, right? So next concept is multiple alleles. Multiple alleles in the name only. So in one gene, how many alleles are presented? So what is meant by alleles? Alternative forms of genes is called alleles. Multiple alleles in one gene, generally how many alleles are presented? In heterozygous, two different types. One is dominant, another is recessive. In homozygous, either two dominants, either two recessive. Only two alleles are presented in one gene. Multiple alleles, multiple means more than two alleles are presented in the condition of gene. That is called multiple alleles. Gene consists with more than two alleles. Generally, in general condition, the alleles presented two only. The gene consists with two alleles. But more than two alleles are presented, that condition is called multiple alleles. Generally, a gene has two alternative forms called alleles, right? Generally, a gene has two alternative forms, that is only two only, that is called alleles. These are present at the same locus of the homologous pair of the chromosome. So these two are present where? Same locus, where the gene location, where gene is presented. So that is called, where the alleles are presented, that is called locus. Same locus of the homologous pair of the chromosome, right? Sometimes a gene may have more than two alleles. Sometimes the gene have more than two alleles. Whenever more than two alleles are presented, such alleles are said to be multiple alleles. So multiple alleles. So what case it is called as multiple alleles, right? So sometimes a gene may have more than two alleles. Such alleles are said to be multiple alleles, right? And human ABO blood group system is an example of multiple alleles of a gene. So ABO blood group system, not AB blood group. ABO blood group system is nothing but the blood group system. A, B and O. ABO blood group system is the best example for multiple alleles, right? So ABO blood group system is determined by the multiple alleles only. By the presence of multiple alleles only, there is four different types of the blood groups, right? We'll discuss further, you can understand easily, right? So I am revising here multiple alleles. Generally a gene has two alternative forms called alleles. So how many alleles are presented in one gene? Only two generally. These are presented at the same locus of the homologous pair of the chromosomes. So it is those alleles are presented at same locus of the homologous pair of chromosomes. Sometimes a gene may have more than two alleles. Sometimes the gene may have more than two alleles. Whenever more than two alleles are presented, in that case it is called multiple alleles. Such alleles are said to be multiple alleles. So what is the best example for multiple alleles? Human ABO blood group system is an example for multiple alleles of a gene, right? Okay, so let us discuss regarding about ABO blood group system. So completely regarding about ABO blood group system, complete detailed information given in NCERT textbook, right? So next one, ABO blood group system. So why we are discussing here blood groups, ABO blood group system and how it is formed? Because ABO blood group system is example for multiple alleles concept, right? So ABO blood groups. ABO blood groups in human beings was observed by Karl Landsteiner in 1900. So who proposed ABO blood group? Who identified ABO blood group system in humans? That is by Karl Landsteiner in the year of 1900. There are four blood group phenotypes in the ABO system: A blood group, B blood group, AB blood group, O blood group. There are, so Karl Landsteiner observed ABO blood group system. The blood group system name is ABO blood group system, and there are four blood groups of phenotypes. Phenotypes means phenotypical expressive. Those four are proposed by Karl Landsteiner. So what are the blood groups? A blood group, B blood group, AB blood group, and O blood group, right? There is four different types of phenotypic blood groups. Why it is called phenotypic? Because some persons are A blood group, some persons are B, some are AB, and some are O. Four are independently phenotypically expressive in the various humans, right? And next one, in 1924, Bernstein discovered that these phenotypes were inherited as a result of three alleles of a gene. Landsteiner proposed only four blood groups: A, B, AB, and O blood group system. So these four blood groups are expressed, phenotypically expressed by how many alleles? That was proposed by Bernstein. In 1924, the Bernstein discovered that these phenotypes were inherited as a result of three alleles of a gene. Because of presence of three alleles, so that is more than two alleles, three alleles only decided the blood groups, four blood groups: A, B, AB, and O, right? So human ABO blood group system consists with how many alleles? Three alleles, right? Determined by how many alleles? Three alleles. So right, we will discuss. This gene is located on chromosome 9. So on which chromosome ABO blood group gene is located? ABO blood group determined gene is located. So that is 9 chromosomes. How many chromosomes are presented in the human body? There is 23 pairs or 46. So on the 9th chromosome, the gene is presented. The blood group related gene is presented. So ABO blood groups are controlled by the gene is called I, capital I. The ABO blood group. So whatever the gene controls ABO blood group that is presented on the 9th chromosome, the gene is called I, capital I. The gene I has 3 alleles. That is the concept here. The gene I has 3 alleles. So generally all the genes consist with only 2 alleles, but here this is the concept of multiple alleles. The gene I has 3 alleles, so that only it is called multiple alleles. So what are the alleles? IA, IB, and I. IA, IB, and I. The gene I, capital I, the gene I has 3 alleles. So 3 alleles, IA and IB and small I. These are the 3 alleles. By the 3 alleles only, there is 4 different types of blood groups was proposed, right? Next one, these alleles represents the antigens, right? Here we discussed earlier in human physiology, A, B, AB, and O blood group systems was proposed by the presence and absence of antigens and antibody. So here we should discuss regarding about only antigens, right? So these alleles represents the antigens. So where the antigens are presented? Antigens are present on the surface of RBC. Where the antibodies are presented? Antibodies are presented in the region of blood plasma. So these alleles represents the presence of antigens, presence and absence of antigens. So IA means A antigen. IB allele is presented,